Hello, everyone. It's a Let's Talk show. I'm Roman Mitin, and I have a surprise for you. I have a very special guest today, which is letting every one of us, especially Slavic-speaking people, whoever has a Slavic background, I have this program special for you today, and everyone who lives in Washington. Today, I have special guests, candidates for governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general. We have Marty, Joshua Fried, and Matt. And today it's an honor for me. First of all, it's an honor for me. Why? Because I live here more than 20 years. My family's here, all of my relatives here. And when I became a citizen of the United States, I felt myself responsible. And it was like, before that, you know, I was kind of living, making money, doing ministry, going to school, and I felt myself okay. But at the time, when the time came, me and my wife, we decided to become citizens of the United States. And when we came, when we finished, and when we became on ceremony to receive the document and everything, I felt that weight on my shoulders at that point, and I was like, man, I am responsible for something right now, you know? And for me, it was like surprising, and I had the fear at the same time. I was like, I am a citizen of the United States. And from that moment, I knew the church, especially with my Slavic background, the church cannot close itself from the people, from the people of the country I live in. So when I told my wife, if I want to see a future for my ministry, I have to start speaking English. So, and we kind of transformed the whole church. So we were talking to the whole church. And I was telling to the especially older people that all of our kids, grandkids, they speak English, they think English, they think American. And I catch myself that I have double thinking. I can think Ukrainian and I can think American. Wow. And when I was preparing, most of my services was on Russian speaking, right? And when I was preparing my messages, I caught myself that if I would be speaking English, I would preach much better, and I would describe the examples and everything much better. I started reading English Bible only. I quit reading Russian Bible because English more understandable for me, especially Proverbs. When I read Proverbs, feels like someone translated to me in understandable mode. So, I was teaching the whole church that we need to prepare the new generation for English. And we launched the English ministry. So we have two ministries under one roof. In the morning, we have Russian speaking. Every evening, Sunday evening, English speaking. So for us, it is an honor that you guys here. And I'm not going to take a lot of time today talking. I want you to talk. So we will start with Joshua Fried. You are running for government.
That's right.
And can you just tell a story, a little bit about yourself?
Sure.
And your agenda?
Yeah, you bet. Well, my name's Joshua Fried. I have a wonderful wife, Lindy, and I have been married for 23 years. We have 5 kids from 21 years old to twin boys that are 14. And so I've been running for the last few months, focusing on the issues that are happening here in Washington State, the rise of crime, and now we're seeing a broken economy. My heart is to see that we can turn that around. I have some experience running my own company for the last 15 years, doing land development and home building. Also been involved in Bothell City Council for 12 years in the past and served as mayor there. A lot of service around the world. I used to live in Egypt, I used to live in Pakistan, and then we do a lot of ministry in the Philippines and in Kenya. And so for me, we just have a heart of service. Our family enjoys serving here at home and, of course, around the world. But it's great to be here, Roman. Thank you.
So what's your, I've read your story, right? Before I knew we will get together, I was like, I want to know more about you. And especially, I know who I'm going to vote for today,
thank
right?
you, sir.
So I was like, your background, the story, when I read your story, it shows me that you're, it is hard to find real people today. So honestly, from my heart, it shows me that you are real. And sometimes we have people with the stories, like masks, you know, when you look at them. And today I can tell from my heart you are the real man. The person who I read how you went to school, I read how you went to university, I read all of those, how you started the business. America is a great country.
For sure.
Right? And I told all of the people that I'm talking to the show that my dream is to let's make Washington great again.
Yes.
Right. So this is what I've been praying for the last since COVID-19. I start praying, let's make Washington great again.
Right.
As soon as we start seeing everything, right, becoming revealed, I was like, Washington should become great again. When was the last time we had the Republican governor?
35 years ago. And since then, we've seen a downward spiral in Washington State. And today, I would say that Washington State is broken, which is why the three of us are very much motivated to be able to move forward in our campaigns to see that we can see a turnaround in Washington State. So many citizens are desperate for it, calling out for it, and we're ready to see that we can make this movement forward to take our state back and, like you say, make it great again.
What's your main concern? What's your main point running for government?
The big concern I have right now is the rise of lawlessness, where we've seen under Jay Inslee assaults on individuals increase by 20%. We've seen murder increase by 41% and rape increase by 65%. So you can see a great representation of it when downtown Seattle, these violent protesters take over all 6 blocks. And now we just have people that are feeling less safe at home, and there's talk about defunding the police and not respecting authority. That whole movement of socialism, moving us away from law and order and move more toward lawlessness, is extremely dangerous. And so for me, I want to restore safety and civility in Washington State.
That's good.
Yeah.
I am lucky enough that I got to United States when I was 17. So I caught a little bit of Soviet Union, right? And I remember some of it.
Right.
And I came to United States, and especially when I see it now, and especially when I see my friends who finish university and they start talking about socialism, and they're talking about ideas, free Medicare, free medical, and they're just throwing those ideas. And I was telling them, have you ever tried it out? I've tried it. I remember myself when I back in 1989, I flipped from the bike, and my hand was like that. Something happened to my bone on the back. My dad took me to the free medical hospital, social hospital, and they checked it out. First of all, we were supposed to bring all of our own medicine because it's free. So my dad has to run across the street, buy the medicine, bring it to the doctor. Then we have to buy a special film. Remember when they used to, back in the days, we didn't have digital x-rays. They used to have negatives.
Yes, for
so
sure.
he has to buy those films so they can check and do the x-rays. And after they've done x-rays, they said, he is fine. Go home in 1 week, everything's going to be okay. What ended up, that bone went all the way here.
Oh, wow.
And the chiropractic, after about 1 week, has to bring it from all the way back to here. This is social hospitality. I've tried it myself. And when I hear it, especially what happens a few weeks ago in Seattle,
Right.
when I start hearing it, when I start seeing it, as people, I saw it. I saw it with my own eyes, right? And the part of Ukraine I'm from is exactly where war is going.
Crimea?
And Donetsk.
Oh.
So, and I have friends, I have lots of people that I know who has tried it out how to be independent. And we know exactly how it's going, how it's working out. And when I start hearing, because most of us, we were going to free country, right? We were going to free country. We were going to worship God. My grandfather was persecuted because he was a pastor of the church, so he has to have KGB agents every 2 weeks in his house searching for Bibles and all of that stuff. So I saw it, everything with my own eyes. And when I start seeing social ideas, and especially from the young people, I'm telling them, you never tried it.
So is there anyone when you're in Ukraine that is the one that's supposed to advocate for the citizens when they're seeing that laws are being enforced against them that are not constitutional or not proper?
You see, especially if you are claim yourself a Christian, you have a stamp on you whenever you go. When I was in the school, teacher showed up. She hated Christians. She communist. She showed up at the beginning of the quarter of the year, right? And she said, me and my cousin, she's like, she claimed our last name, stand up. So I stand up in front of the class, and they're saying, don't, 3 is a score like C to pass.
Right.
So she's like, don't even think that you will have C.
Really?
Yeah, and you can't do anything.
So you see, I mean, in Washington State, we're supposed to have an attorney general that is looking out for our interests, defending us in court, and always be advocating for the citizens of Washington. And our current attorney general is not doing that. That's why I'm excited for Matt Larkin to be running for that.
If we can switch to transfer to Matt right now, can you tell a little bit about yourself before we?
Yeah, so lifelong Washingtonian, born and raised here. Went to Gonzaga for law school, got my law degree, and then went above and beyond law school and got a master's of law in litigation at George Washington Law School in D.C. Then I worked for President George W. Bush in the White House, in his speechwriting office and as an attorney. Did that for a bit, and then Obama came in and we were swept out, and I was looking for work. So moved back home to my home state here. Got married, started raising a family, and started working on the president's book, Decision Points, which he wrote shortly after he was president. Did that, and then took a job as a Pierce County prosecutor, representing this county that we're in, actually.
I saw a video on your page. Touched my heart. Why? And I'll tell you. When I came here, 1999, November 1999, Thanksgiving. This is when we got here, and when I used to go, my cousins took me to downtown Seattle, and they showed me Seattle. So I was excited. Space Needle, you know, I was like, wow, this is the city I'm gonna live in, right?
Yeah.
And I've, off of my background, I did lots of work in Seattle. I used to run a construction company. We used to do siding, stucco, so lots of buildings. I did lots of buildings with my company in downtown Seattle itself, right? What happened last, I would say, decade or something? If someone comes over to visit us, I don't wanna tell them, let's go, I'll show you my downtown.
You're not the only one to say that. You know? I hear that everywhere I go.
And I'm telling my wife, she's like, I'm telling my wife, do you want to go to Seattle? Because I did in Seattle itself, Madrona, Capitol Hill, in those areas. We did lots of real estate, we flipped lots of houses out there, Last Shy, right? All of that areas. And I am telling my wife, do you want to go Alki Beach? You want to go downtown Seattle? She's scared, and she's like, no.
Yeah, right.
No, right? And the issue that you were talking about, drugs, homeless. I'm like, I used to be in Seattle I took a short break from Seattle last probably 2 years, but since 2014 through 18, I was in Seattle every single day. I had to go get building permits and everything. I'm sorry, but when I has to park my car in front of the building department, right, and I has to walk and smell those aromas, you know,
it's real.
It is very real. And when my friends coming over and they say, "Can you show us the downtowns?" Like, you know what? Let me show you something else.
Yeah.
And it's a huge issue right now.
Absolutely true. And I feel the same way. My wife's from a different state. She's from Mississippi, and she always has friends and family visiting. And we're really hesitant to take them down to Seattle. And it didn't used to be that way. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I grew up in Magnolia, so in Seattle. It was a great place to grow up. It was a safe place to grow up, and we've gotten away from that. And these numbers, these homeless numbers, these drug addiction numbers, these crime numbers have gone up year over year over year. And it's time to take it back. And that's why I think the three of us are really passionate in getting into this race. We need to take back our cities.
Well said.
Amen to that. Yeah. I can only dream to be in Seattle when we used to be. When the church is over, we used to take all of our youth groups, you know, and we has to hang out next to Space Needle, next to downtown, Alki, all over Seattle till 1 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Nobody wants to go. Nobody. Most of them are afraid to go there.
Yeah.
Marty, you are running for
Lieutenant Governor.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Father of 3 kids. I have a 23-year-old, a 18-year-old now, and a 16-year-old daughter. Background, growing up in Eastern Washington. Came over here as an Eagle Scout. Got involved in healthcare for 13 years. Worked all over Swedish and Providence and kind of the Puget Sound region. Last 21 years in real estate as a managing broker, now for a statewide company. And then pastored a church for 4 years in Gig Harbor and on staff 4 years before that. And about the last 6 years, I've had a statewide radio show as well. So, but it's all about honoring God. And I love how you started this program off about, getting involved and being on the offense and so forth. And the Bible says the government's on God's shoulders, on Jesus' shoulders, right? And yet we're supposed to be engaged in the communities. And we see the decay of our families, the decay of our communities, the decay of our society because they've removed God. And really it's about restoring that. It's like putting God first. It's our Constitution, and the very reason that you come here to become American, it's the only place in the world where you can come to and become a part of something that's really beautiful, right? And it was founded upon God's principles, and even the Constitution refers to God and nature's God, right? And so those principles, when they're removed, we lose everything. That's why we're struggling. So
I agree on that. I tell everyone in my church, everywhere I go, this is the country which can help you have your dreams make happen. I came here, my parents came here with $75 in the pocket. $75 in the pocket. That's all we had. We sold our home. My parents used to borrow some money. We were struggling, right, back in Ukraine. So my mom paid everybody the debt. We came here November 1989 with $75 in the pocket, with nothing, right? And this country gave us everything.
Only place in the world you can do that, and I'll tell you this, it was a 2016 stat, so it's a couple years old. 80% of all brand new millionaires are first generation immigrants. People that come here from other countries.
86%?
80%.
I went to school. When I went to school, my mom, she was dreaming that I'm gonna go and be a doctor. That's my mom's dream. My sister is, but not me. So and
their dream was fulfilled.
but I had the gift. I have a bad handwriting. So she was dreaming, and everybody was asking me, when you gonna go to college? Who you gonna go for? I was like, I'm gonna go to be a millionaire. And when I finished the high school, I didn't find myself a specific education program to be a millionaire in the college, right? And I know you touched on some of these objects right there. Education is your thing, right? You were telling about education. I am pro-education.
We all are, but the education system we have now is not a system that leads to success or outcomes.
Agreed.
We need to have a system that allows kids to have choice, kids to have different degrees, and not just in college, but in trades and skills and so forth. Real estate, we've talked about real estate. The kids don't know about it. There are great ways to actually make a living for your families, provide for them, that they aren't even exposed to. So,
education. Education is the most important thing. And when I start educating myself, I'm a self-educated person, but I spent lots of money on seminars, books, conferences, right? Because I took a topic that I want to learn, let's say real estate. Back in 2006, I was living I've started in the industry.
Yes.
Zero money. My wife, eviction notice every single month on my door, right? And I told my wife, we will find a way. God is going to lead us through, right? I'm reading a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki, right? Everybody, I mean, most of the people know. If you don't know, read that book.
Right.
So, and I'm reading and I'm seeing Cash Flow 101, that game. I'm going on eBay, 2006, it's 2006. I have it too. So I bought it, $110. I bought it, it came, and we start playing. Me and my wife, we got it at 9 a.m. in the morning. And we finished from 9 a.m. at 11 p.m. So we were playing.
Seriously?
We were playing the game. And I had a group of people in my church and said, you have to, every Sunday we have to play this game. So I took my friends, we were playing. Some of our friends were thinking we're doing some home casino. There's a pastor playing home casinos.
That's pretty funny.
So we were playing that game in 2006. It was 2006. And I was reading that book when he is telling that he was broke but not poor. That's a mentality thing, right? He's broke, not poor. He's living in the trunk of his car, and he's making some deals, and how he came up and everything. In 2011, fast forward, 2011, I'm living in the trunk. I spent all of my money on opening the stores. And I invested everything that I had in the stores, and I was hoping to get nice return. And I'm getting an opportunity to start doing real estate, right? And I was like, in the trunk of my Audi in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah. We had a store in the mall, and I'm thinking myself, this is not fun. I was reading the book. I was thinking he's a cool guy. I would like to go through that. And I went through. We went through the hard road. Whatever I had, I has to work for it. But this is the country who made everything happen to me. Today, I have a house, I have a business, I have a ministry, I have a beautiful wife, I have a future ahead of me, right? And I believe America is a country which can give you the opportunity. My sister on other side, she went to college. She started pursuing medical education, and she got bachelor's degree. She's teaching now, and she became here like I am with nothing. $75 in the pocket that my parents had, and when I started learning a little bit what you were telling, so when I am a student and I can pick the direction I want to go, but not the direction someone's telling me to go. Right?
Exactly right.
Because I've been telling, most of the time in church, everywhere else, everyone's tell us what we need to think on, but nobody teaches how to think.
That's exactly right.
Everyone's telling us, here's how you think. Here's what you go and vote. Here's what. I am here to let you think.
Right.
What do you choose, and when you're gonna get your bailout, who you gonna cross it for? Who will tell you what to do, or who will give you a choice so you can choose which way I can go?
One thing you said at the very beginning when you came here and you felt the responsibility of becoming a citizen, that's something we're missing in education now, is teaching our kids how blessed they are, and there's a responsibility to get engaged, responsibility to leave this freedom for the next generation. And so we're so happy that new immigrants come in, become citizens, and understand that.
I love going to naturalization ceremonies, and the oath that new citizens take is very moving. I wish that many citizens could sit through that have been born in America and realize the difference and what people are pledging to America.
People are dreaming to live here. People are dreaming to live here.
And we take it for granted too often.
My mom had the dream. She has to dream more than 10 years or something. And she was telling us, we will live in the United States. When we were struggling, when we were going through the hard time, and all of her neighbors and friends were laughing. Every birthday party, we would get together, and she would say, soon we will live, soon we will live, right? Soon we will live. And back in the days, my story goes all the way back in 19 whatever, the years back, my grandmother, she was Assyria. There is a country, Assyria, right?
Oh, yeah.
So she was Assyrian. This country doesn't exist anymore.
No.
So she was Assyrian, and because her husband was a Christian and a pastor, he was persecuted, and they has to run. And two sisters. My grandmother ran away to Soviet Union, and her sister ran away to Los Angeles, right? Smart woman. So
Same thing, right?
It's a long way away.
You know, and my mom was like dreaming, and everybody was laughing. And in 1999, when they were saying goodbye to us, they were saying, "Now you laughing and we're crying," right? And I knew at the moment, it's all here. If I would move, I don't know how my future would end up. This is why I am. Honestly, I am honored to be a citizen of this country. And this is why I said we should go outside.
Yeah.
And God switched something in my head, and we stop praying for our families or our children. We start praying for our cities.
Yeah, we
So
need the prayer today.
I tell them, don't be selfish. Start praying for the cities and the states. I'm running twice a week a prayer, and we're praying for people who's in government, and we're praying that God will place the right people at the right time.
Yes.
And I believe you are the right people, and you are at the right time.
Yes, definitely
today.
prayer. And we were just talking before this about prayer and fasting, and seeing that the state could dedicate themselves even once a week or even once a month, if once a week is too much, even part of the day, for breakfast and lunch on Wednesday, just to pray for your neighbors and pray for our state to be unified together to be able to do something like that. Because with that, it helps bring clarity in your mind, that you're giving something up to be able to then focus and ask God for direction. I think about when the Constitution, Marty mentioned, that in the Constitution it says God has given us life and He's given us liberty. And really, what are we going to do with that? In Washington State, we can see that people are using this freedom to really move it toward anarchy and lawlessness, and that takes away other people's constitutional rights. So now we start to infringe on people's freedom by what you see down in the Chaz zone or the CHOP zone or other places across our state, or people are getting attacked, they're being assaulted on the street. And sadly, a lot of it is associated with the rise of unaddressed mental illness in the state of Washington, as well as drug and alcohol addiction. So drug has become far more prevalent in our communities and now across the nation than it ever has before. I believe that's a tool that's being used to shut down people's mind, take away their vision for the future and hope. And we need to, as believers, certainly step into that and say, no longer should you be stuck in addiction, but we're going to help you move on a pathways to success. but we have to do this together. This trifecta, this partnership you see here, I think is what is essential to turn our state around and work with others who believe what we do as well, that we have to restore law and order. We have to have proper policies and principles that are moving through the legislature, and ultimately in the governor's seat, make sure that we're helping inspire the people in Washington state, that we can come together and we can tackle any issue that comes before us.
Last question I have for you guys.
Yeah.
For the last decade or 2 decades, especially Christian community, they were defensive. They were defending themselves. Every single time I hear we have a guy who works through the Slavic community, especially he calls me pretty much every Sunday, Pastor, please ask your people to tell them that we have to sign a petition.
Yes.
We have to sign a petition. And I said, how long do we have to defend ourselves in order to giving the law or petitions that will protect us in the future, protect our kids in the future? What are your thoughts on that, on this?
Well, I know I was a co-sponsor and a lead contributor to Referendum 90, which is a ban on comprehensive sex education, because the legislature was moving forward at 2 in the morning and forcing this legislation that would say kids 5, 6, 7 years old have to be taught the sexual education, really compromising their minds. By introducing Referendum 90, we can now reverse that as citizens come out and vote. But I'm sure you guys have thoughts.
Franklin Graham, famous pastor, son of Billy Graham, said that communism is anti-God. And as we know right now, we've been playing defense at the church. We say, we can't get engaged in politics. We can't be there. We barely vote. And yet these things keep on coming at us because we've abdicated our role in government. We're supposed to be engaged as the church. It says, go throughout all the world and preach the good news. Bring salt and light. Be leaders. I've preached before at the pulpit and talked to pastors, thousands of pastors. And I said, we always pray from the pulpit and say we need to pray for godly leaders. I said, where do they come from if they don't come from our pews? If we don't train them up and support them and get them in office and make sure and hold them accountable. Praying is important, but getting engaged, telling your neighbors, and making sure that people in government are accountable to you, the church. But that's where wisdom comes from. That's where God comes from. The very foundations of this nation was said we had to be free in order to freely give ourselves to God. That's the difference. So it's a spiritual battle being played out into the political realm. So the church has to be involved in the political realm.
You remember the story in the Bible? There is a guy, he was a parent or uncle of Esther, Mordecai.
Yes.
Mordecai?
Yeah. Esther. Yeah.
Esther, and she had the mentor, right? So he was preparing her to win.
Yeah.
So he was preparing her to win because she has to go through some stages, right?
Right.
But Bible says he was fasting, praying, and he was going out on a strike. So he didn't. Sometimes church people saying we need to pray and God will do what He needs to do. He's not gonna do anything. He already done everything for us, and He said, "This is the land I'm giving you, and you make sure you keep it in order."
Example, we like Joshua, right? Joshua and Caleb, the story of the two guys.
Yeah,
right?
it's a prophetic name.
right.
Joshua Daniel Freed
But
is my full name.
God gave them the promised land, right? But what did they have to do? They had to go to defeat the enemy. They go, all right,
Yes.
God, I gave it to you, now go take it. The church has to do the same thing. God's given this to us. The government's on His shoulder, but we have to go take it back.
I think too often we get exhausted as godly people in an ungodly land, and it feels exhausting. We feel like we're always on the defense. And it's not fun to be on the defense. And it wears you down, and you feel like you can never really win the game. We need to switch the dialogue, and we need young Christian men rising up to run for these offices and to flip the tables and to go on offense. And it will be so much fun to be on offense in this election cycle. And it's exciting.
Sorry, in your voice, in these two gentlemen's voices, I hope you hear, and the listeners hear, care and compassion. That's our motivation to go into the world. First, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. That's our motivation. When we see suffering in the community around us, we're called to go into the community and love them. And so I want pastors here and around the world, around the nation, to say, go out. You read the Proverbs 31 woman. Where's her husband? He's at the city gates with the elders. We're called to be engaged in community and in the civic square. And you do it not in just forced action, but you can do it through dialogue. And we are moving forward because we see so many people's lives are broken. That's our heart.
One more thing for you. I know you're a pastor, right?
Yeah.
Scripture says, when the wicked reign, the people groan. When the righteous reign, the people rejoice, right? There's a lot of groaning right now because the wicked are in power. We have to elect people that are right with God. So,
Amen. I agree.
yeah.
Well, at the end, time is running, right? I will talk more and more because every one of you is like a book for me.
Well,
it's
thank
very
you.
interesting. Just at the closing, every one of you, it's your time. We'll start from you and Joshua.
Just
will
a
finish it up.
closing?
Yeah, just a closing.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm running for those reasons. I have 4 little kids. They're 10 years old. They're 10, 7, 4, and 2. So that's the passion. That's the fire you see in me. I'm running for my kids. I'm running for your future kids. I'm running for grandkids. I'm running for the children of Washington who we're going to be long gone here soon, but our kids are the next generation. Not too soon, but we've got to think for them, and we've got to fight for them. And I want them to be on the offense. I don't want my kids playing defense the rest of their lives. And that's why I'm in the race, and I'm excited to be in the race. And that's my plan to win. We're going to beat Bob Ferguson for Attorney General. He's going to beat Jay Inslee, and you're going to claim an open seat.
That's right.
And I'm excited about that. I'm excited to be sitting here with these guys today.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine being in this with any other brothers besides these 2 gentlemen here. But for everyone that's listening, we have a lot of work to do. This is a time for us as believers to rise up. There's no time for complacency because the time is now for such a time as this, like Mordecai and Esther, that when we are called to be in the world and to serve and love the world that's around us, to bring the light, that's what we need to do today. So my family and I, we are moving forward to being part of what's happening in Washington State so we can see a turn from the hurt and the darkness that's happening around us, as we described at the beginning of this conversation, to really help restore people's lives so they live productive lives again with meaning and purpose. That's my heart.
Yeah, and mine as well. We talked about kids and futures. Really, it's about leaving a blessing to the next generation and understanding that we have a biblical mandate on a call on us to serve, but also to call the church forward, to restore the place the church is supposed to be in government, also across this nation, in our families. So I always say I'm going to honor God, I'm going to fight for families, and I'm going to make sure that we have common sense solutions. But it comes to education, it comes to accountability, it comes to families. We know the number one indicator for success is a 2-parent household. There's been a war on fathers in our state, and as the bully pulpit, we use it. This is what we have to champion. We have to make sure that those same liberties, those same joys that you came here to experience exist for our kids and grandkids.
Yeah. Can we take one more second?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd love for us to share our websites.
Yes,
possible.
yes.
All right.
We will. That's the next thing I was about to ask. If people wants to help,
Yes, sir.
financially, with their own hands, maybe I know you guys need the help. Every single one of you need help. So we will share under our comments. We will share every single one of the candidate websites or links where you can go. You can support them financially, or you can support them with your help, with your own hands. If you will give it to us, we will share it right
Absolutely.
away.
We'll give it to you. Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Wonderful.
Perfect.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is great.
Bless you.
Listeners and followers, thank you for your time. I ask you one favor. Share this video on your page. You will do a big job for us, especially if you live in the state of Washington. Just share it, and I believe God will make a little bookmark on your on your name in heaven for that. Thank you very much. You have a great day. We'll see you next week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So.